If you ever watched a public figure and just thought, what is really going on there? It's fascinating how some people seem to just thrive on controversy, right? Like criticism doesn't slow them down. It almost fuels.
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder what's driving some of the, say, louder statements and behaviors.
Exactly. So today, that's what we're doing. A deep dive into exactly that, looking at the public persona of Candace Owens.
Okay.
Our source material really examines her reported actions and characteristics through this specific lens, something called malignant narcissism.
Right.
And just to be clear up front, our goal here is really to pull out the key takeaways from the sources, give you a quick, clear picture of these reported patterns. We're not, endorsing any viewpoint, just trying to convey the ideas in the material.
And it helps to know the trigger, right? What sort of kicked this off in the source material.
Good point.
Our YouTube source points to comments Jordan Peterson made on Joe Rogan's show. He was talking about psychopaths co-opting the Maggio movement.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
And the source then lays out how Candace Owens reportedly fired back with what it called a slanderous episode aimed right at Peterson.
Gotcha. So that sets the stage. But before we jump into those specifics, maybe we should unpack narcissism itself.
Good idea.
Because, it gets thrown around a lot. Like anyone who seems a bit self-centered gets labeled.
Totally. It's become a bit of a casual insult, hasn't it?
Yeah. But the material we have digs into a more clinical understanding, although crucially it clarifies it's not offering a diagnosis of anyone.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing patterns described by experts, not armchair diagnosing.
Right. So what are the main types the source talks about?
Well, it breaks it down into two main forms. First, there's overt or grandiose narcissism.
Okay.
This is the one described as, outwardly confident, really outgoing. It's like a persona they wear. They actively want attention, admiration. The source even says they want worship.
Wow, worship. That's intense.
It is. Very much a spotlight seeker kind of thing.
Okay, so that's over grandiose. What's the other one?
The other is covert or vulnerable narcissism. And this is really different. It's described as being worn more on the inside. These individuals tend to be sort of self-effacing, maybe shy, hypersensitive, prone to anxiety.
So less obvious.
Much less obvious. They might even avoid social situations, really to protect themselves from feeling criticized or rejected. They kind of pull back.
That's a really stark contrast. So the outwardly shy person might still have this internal narcissistic struggle, but it shows up differently.
Exactly. While the grandiose type demands the spotlight, the covert type might subtly manipulate things to get attention, maybe by playing the victim or, exaggerating struggles to get sympathy.
Ah, I see. It's more passive-aggressive, maybe.
You could say that's still self-focused, but a different strategy for validation.
And just to loop back, our source material really focuses on that grandiose type when looking at Candace Owens. It notes that for her, based on the source's analysis, criticism and rejection don't seem to be a deterrent. In fact, it suggests they actually feed the narcissism, draw more attention.
And the source uses a specific term too, doesn't it? Malignant narcissism.
Yes. What does that add?
Well, it takes those grandiose traits we talked about, the confidence, the need for admiration, and adds a darker layer.
Darker how?
Often incorporating elements of antisocial behavior, maybe some paranoia, a more destructive kind of intent. The source presents it as a particularly severe form.
Okay, wow. That definitely adds complexity. And I think the examples the source gives really help make this more concrete.
They do. It brings it out of the abstract.
So let's dig into some of those key characteristics of grandiose narcissism, the material outline, with the examples related to Candace Owens.
Okay. So the first one discussed is this inflated sense of importance.
Right.
The source highlights claims where she reportedly connected huge global events directly to her own influence. Well, for instance, the claim that she was the reason President Macron decided to recognize Palestine.
Seriously?
That's what the source reports. And even suggesting her 8-part series on Does Macron Have a Johnson, which is quite a title.
Slight chuckle, yeah.
Was apparently so impactful it factored into peace talks between Ukraine and Russia.
Peace talks because of her series.
According to the reported claims, yes. And going even further, suggesting that Donald Trump, described as the most powerful man on the planet, was supposedly concerned about her think piece.
That's a lot.
It is. And the source ties this directly to that need for admiration. It quotes her as essentially saying, "See me, notice me, I am Candace Katari Holmes."
It's not just boasting then, it's like weaving herself into history.
That's how the source presents it, making herself seem central, indispensable, hard to ignore.
Okay. What's the next characteristic?
The analysis brings up a sense of entitlement.
Entitlement, how does that show up?
Well, The source mentions that early in her career, she reportedly burned bridges with people who gave her initial breaks.
Like her.
Names like Gavin McGinnis, Lauren Loomer, even Kanye West are mentioned.
Okay.
And the source suggests the ultimate goal driving this was political ambition, becoming a senator, maybe even president.
Right. And wasn't there something about Trump's cabinet?
Yes, exactly. The material describes what it calls a narcissistic wound, meaning like a deep blow to that inflated self-image. It came from not being considered for his cabinet, with the implication being she felt it was her rightful position.
So a belief that she was owed that spot.
That's the implication of entitlement, that certain things are just due to you.
Which leads, I guess, to another really critical characteristic the source points out, a profound lack of empathy.
Yes, and this one is illustrated with some pretty stark examples in the source material, like creating what the source calls slanderous think pieces designed to ruin people. It mentions an 8-part series about someone supposedly in a relationship with their son.
Wow. Okay.
And it also points to her reported denial and belittling of the Holocaust, describing it as denying people's deepest trauma as basically a footnote that probably didn't happen.
That's incredibly dismissive of immense suffering,
to say the least. And furthermore, the source notes her accusing Israel of ethnic cleansing during a war for its existence, and states that she believes the From the River to the Sea movement, which aims to wipe out Israel, is on the right side of history.
Does the source give any reason why the empathy seems so missing? Is it presented as a tactic or something deeper?
The implication from the source is that it's more deeply ingrained. Like, the world primarily revolves around the narcissist's own needs, their perceptions. Other people's experiences just don't register in the same way.
Which feels connected to the next point, exploitative behavior and manipulation.
Definitely connect. The source claims she uses her audience almost like a weapon to attack others.
How?
People report being ratio, where their online comments get swarmed with negative replies after she makes a claim against them.
Mobilizing the base.
Pretty much. And there's that example given of her asserting that Jews, quote, an organization, and an 85-year-old rabbi were paying people in Bitcoin to slander her.
And her proof was?
Herself. As the source wryly puts it, what greater source does the narcissist have than themselves?
Right. It also mentioned using people as stepping stools.
Yeah, for career advancement. Places like PragerU and the Daily Wire are mentioned, referring to the latter as the Jews over there at the Daily Wire, according to the source. But interestingly, it notes people like Kanye West and Andrew Tate haven't been fully discarded yet, suggesting they still have utility for her.
So relationships are based on usefulness.
That's the pattern the source describes in exploitative behavior, yes.
Okay, what about interpersonal style, aggression?
Yeah, the source talks about aggression and hostility. It mentions a perceived sourness and vindictiveness that even former fans apparently noticed.
And overconfidence.
Oh yeah, striking overconfident. Highlighted by her reported willingness to, quote, bet my entire career on this one scandal, daring it to go all the way to discovery and to trial.
That's quite a gamble.
It suggests a very high degree of self-belief or perhaps a dismissal of consequences. And finally, there's interpersonal dominance.
Meaning?
Striving for control in interactions, being assertive, sometimes aggressively so. The source mentions discarding people like Gavin and Lauren when they were no longer useful.
Right.
And even using tactics against others that had been used against her, like asking those just asking questions about someone's gender identity. It paints a picture of needing to be in control, always.
It's a really complex picture. So with all these traits laid out, what does it all mean? What are the broader implications, maybe the roots of this, according to the source?
Well, stepping back, the material does outline some common potential consequences for individuals described as grandiose narcissists.
Like what kind of difficult?
Significant relationship problems, for one, stemming from that lack of empathy, the exploitation. It leads to burning bridges, as the source puts it.
That makes sense. What else?
Career hurdles, too, linked to that overconfidence, maybe making poor decisions, like that whole torch my entire career attitude.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it can lead towards social isolation. It just becomes really hard to form genuine, deep connections.
It sounds lonely, almost, despite the outward show.
It could be perceived that way, like building this huge fortress around yourself, but ending up alone inside it.
And the source mentioned something fascinating about the cost, something about shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really key point in the analysis. It understands narcissism fundamentally as a shame-based.
Shame-based, but they seem so confident.
Exactly. That outward confidence, the high self-esteem look. The source describes it as a protective veneer, a protective mechanism.
Formed when?
Usually in childhood, it suggests, as a way to guard against feeling rejected. There's even a theory mentioned linking it to being raised by grandparents, suggesting that kind of situation could contribute to needing to build a persona for protection.
And that persona could go either way. Like, look at me.
Right.
or hide away.
Right. Either the grandiose look at me, worship me approach, or the covert tendency to recoil and hide. But both, the source suggests, might stem from that deep underlying vulnerability, that fear of shame or abandonment.
So the aggression, the grandiosity, it's masking something fragile.
That's the interpretation presented, turning that need for external validation into this constant, desperate drive.
Wow. As you, our listener, take all this in, how does this deeper understanding, this idea of narcissism as potentially shame-based, reshape how you perceive these public figures, their motivations?
Yeah, it adds a whole different layer, doesn't it? Beyond just the surface behavior.
It really does.